Okay. Warm welcome to you, ma'am. I
Just
welcome.
one thing, I don't see anyone, so you'll have to give me the cues. I can see the screen though. I can
Madam,
see
screen
the
is visible to you?
screen is visible. I can't see anything else, so you'll
Yes,
have
madam.
to tell me when to begin and I'll start.
Yes,
Yes,
madam.
ma'am.
Can we
I'll
start, madam?
just.
Yeah.
I welcome all the deans, faculty members, HODs of various departments, and students to this beautiful session, the Education Enhanced session. NEPs Focus on Governance, Leadership, Innovation, Entrepreneurship in Higher Education, and it is by Dr. Kalpana Gopalan. She is an IAS, PhD, IIMB, Additional Chief Secretary from the Department of Youth Empowerment and Sports. A warm welcome to you, ma'am.
Thank you for having me this morning.
Uh, it's very glad to have you in this session. Now, I request Bhanupriya, Assistant Professor, Department of Mathematics, to introduce her to the gathering.
Good morning, one and all present. I feel privileged for given an opportunity to give a short introductory insight of our speaker's achievements. Dr. Kalpana Gopalan is a composite public policy professional, practitioner, policymaker, scholar, author, volunteer, and mother who have secured 19th rank in the All India Combined Civil Service Examination in 1987. Ma'am's 32-year cross-sectoral work experience in the Indian Administrative Service spans land administration, urban management, public distribution system, sports, rural development, youth, training and education. Ma'am is now the Additional Chief Secretary, Department of Youth Empowerment and Sports, Government of Karnataka. Ma'am received the Mother Teresa Women Empowerment Award 2019 for outstanding contribution to excellence in leadership and the International Human Rights 2019 in the Women of Courage category. Ma'am was awarded citations and commendations by various universities among which we are Bangalore University, NITTE University, Mysuru University, Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, VTU, Gulbarga University, Honorary Consul, Republic of Maldives 2015 and Institute of Engineers of India 2013. Ma'am stewarded the NLM UNESCO 2000 Award for Karnataka with her work in literacy and the Karnataka Ratna Award 2013 for Kaveri Handicrafts. Ma'am was facilitated by various university and firms. Ma'am is an advisor in Bangalore City Corporation, honorary consultant at Administrative Training Institute, Mysuru, member in Public Sector Advisory, Grand Thornton, India, member Advisory Board, World Congress on Women and advisor Government Blockchain Association, India. Ma'am complement her work experience with a doctorate and a master's in public policy from the Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. Ma'am's research interests are public-private partnerships, infrastructure, land management, rural development, education, and urban governance. Ma'am was rated among the top 2% of doctoral candidates in the past decade for her research on infrastructure, public-private partnerships. A gold medalist and university topper in her undergraduate and masters, Ma'am international exposure includes visiting fellow at McGill and Concordia universities in Canada, EU fellow in the University of Salerno in Italy, Chivning Gurukul scholar Institute of Development Studies, UK, and Maxwell Public Policy Scholar in Syracuse University, USA. Ma'am is trained in evidence for policy design in the Center for International Development, Howard University, USA, in e-governance strategy in the London School of Economics, UK. Ma'am was twice selected as a SAYSSP scholar by the University of the Free State, Bloemfontein, South Africa, and the International Institute for Applied System Analysis. Ma'am presented paper in national and international fora and have published 3 books and many journal articles. A sought-after speaker, Ma'am have delivered over 250 talks on different aspects of public policy to national and global audience. Ma'am pursued her academic interest as Senior Research Fellow in the National Institute of Urban Affairs, New Delhi, visiting faculty in the Institute of Social and Economic Change, Bangalore, Center for Infrastructure, Sustainable Transportation and Urban Planning, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, IIMB, Centuries Real Estate Research Initiative, Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, Acharya Bangalore B School and Kuvempu Rural University, Shivamogga. Ma'am is a member, Advisory Board, AIMS School of Business, Bangalore, member, Academic Council, Mahatma Gandhi Kashi Vidyapith, Varanasi, and member, MDP Advisory Committee, Presidency, University, Bangalore. Ma'am is a Chief Editorial Advisor, IJ 360 MR, expert, panel of reviewers, IIMB Review, IIM Bangalore, and member, Editorial Advisory Board of IJBST, IJAS, RW, and IFE-RP Journals. Ma'am volunteered as advisor to Akshaya Patra Foundation, Bangalore, Grassroots Research and Advocacy Movement, Swami Vivekananda Youth Movement, Mysuru, Bangalore Women Forum, Center for Health and Development, Mangalore, World Congress on Women 2019 and YWCA, and as speaker, her initiative, Maharashtra. A prolific writer, blogger, and speaker, Ma'am served as Secretary, Toastmasters International. Ma'am as an additional Chief Secretary, Director General, Administrative Training Institute, Mysuru, trained over 30,000 civil service officers in different levels in public administration, launched a collaborative internship program with University of Mysuru, selected for training in the London School of Economics and Political Science. I, on behalf of ATME College of Engineering, heartily welcome our speaker, Dr. Kalpana Gopalan, IAS, to today's session. I welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bhanupriya ma'am. That was indeed, we have an eminent personality and orator to speak on NEPs Focus on governance, leadership, innovation, entrepreneurship in higher education. Now, we are eager to hear from you, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you so much, and thank you once again for that very detailed introduction. Good morning to all of you. Thank you all for having me here. I congratulate ATME College of Engineering, Mysore. Mysore is my favorite city. I was trained there. And Dr. Ratnakar Devaru, faculty and staff, for organizing this very relevant and topical web session on the new education policy. I have no doubt that every aspect of the NEP is being discussed throughout the higher education system. I will today focus on the implications of the NEP on the aspects of leadership, governance, innovation, and entrepreneurship in higher education. And finally, I will just say a few words setting the NEP in the macro context of the changes taking place in education today. Next slide, please. There are two aspects to the governance of any institution: external regulation and internal governance, and the NEP addresses both of them. I will briefly highlight the provisions relating to external regulation and self-governance, then look at the implications and nuances of the proposed provisions. Next slide, please. With reference to internal regulation, the significant change of NEP is to create a single regulator for higher education institutions. Let us look at the pre-NEP scenario. We have several regulators in higher education. The UGC, go back to slide 3, please. Yeah. Come now to external regulation, number 4. With reference to external regulation, the significant change of NEP 2020 is to create a single regulator for higher education institutions. Let us look at the pre-NEP scenario. We have several regulators in higher education: the UGC, which governs universities, the AICTE for engineering education, and the NCTE, which regulates teachers' education. NEP attempts to improve governance by bringing in a single regulator, the Higher Education Commission of India, to regulate all institutions barring medical and law colleges. The HECI is envisaged as a single overarching umbrella body for the entire realm of higher education, excluding medical and legal education. It will have 4 independent verticals: the National Higher Education Regulatory Council, which is the NHERC for regulation, the General Education Council or GEC for standard setting, the Higher Education Grants Council, HEGC, for funding, and the National Accreditation Council for accreditation. Now let us look at the details of the 4 verticals. Go back to 4. I'm still in 4. The first vertical of HECI will be the National Higher Education Regulatory Council or the NHERC. It will function as the common single point regulator for the higher education sector, including teacher education and excluding medical and legal education. Next, the primary mechanism to enable the regulatory process will be accreditation. The second vertical of HECI will therefore be a meta-accrediting body called the National Accreditation Council. Next, the third vertical of HECI will be the Higher Education Grants Council, HEGC, which will carry out funding and financing of higher education based on transparent criteria, including the IDPs prepared by the institutions and the progress made on their implementation. HEGC will be entrusted with the disbursement of scholarships and developmental funds for launching new focus areas and expanding quality program offerings at higher education institutes across disciplines and fields. Next, the fourth vertical of the HECI will be the General Education Council, GEC, which will frame expected learning outcomes for higher education programs, also referred to as graduate attributes. Next, with reference to the second aspect of governance, that is the internal governance structure of an institution, the NEP brings in a new approach. Towards this aspect, the NEP focuses on institutional leadership and self-governance. A board of governors, BOG, will be established for institutions that have received the appropriate graded accreditations that deem the institution ready for such a move. It will consist of highly qualified, competent and dedicated individuals having proven capabilities and a strong sense of commitment to the institution. Next. Now we have just looked at the architecture. Let us now look at greater detail at the implications and nuances of this regulatory architecture. What is the objective of this approach? The stated objective in setting up a single regulator is to avoid inter-organizational conflicts inherent in a multiplicity of organizations. The NEP observes that the multiplicity of regulatory bodies creates conflicts of interest among these bodies and a resulting lack of accountability. In the new regime, the distinct functions of regulation, accreditation, funding, and academic standard setting will thus be performed by distinct, independent, and empowered bodies, but under a common umbrella. This is considered essential to create checks and balances in the system, minimizing conflicts of interest and eliminating concentration of power. Thus, this architecture eliminates the duplication and disjunction of regulatory efforts by multiple regulatory agencies that exist at the current time. Next, please. Therefore, the NEP signals a change in the approach towards regulation, one of simplification and rationalization. In fact, this is a fundamental principle stated at the very outset, a light but tight regulatory framework. The document speaks of transforming and overhauling regulation, criticizing the previous regime as being heavy-handed and over-regulated. It takes a relook and repealing of existing acts and restructuring of various regulatory bodies to enable this single point regulation. Its purpose is to ensure integrity, transparency and resource efficiency of the educational system through audit and public disclosure, while encouraging innovation and out-of-the-box ideas through autonomy, good governance, and empowerment. Next, please. Certain implications of the NEP, which are not explicitly stated, are equally significant. The first is empowerment. This is true of both the HECI and the higher education institutions that it seeks to regulate. With reference to the HECI, to ensure that the four institutional structures carrying out the four functions work independently yet at the same time synergistically towards common goals, these four structures will be set up as four independent verticals within one umbrella institution, the Higher Education Commission of India. The empowerment extends to the HEIs that the HECI seeks to regulate. Government will phase out the affiliation of colleges in 15 years, and a stage-wise mechanism will be established for granting graded autonomy to colleges. Over a period of time, every college, including yours, is expected to develop into either an autonomous degree-granting college or a constituent college of a university. Another aspect of autonomy is the stress on self-governance. Through a suitable system of graded accreditation and graded autonomy, in a phased manner over a period of 15 years, all HEIs in India will aim to become independent, self-governing institutions pursuing innovation and excellence. The board of governors of an institution will be empowered to govern the institution free of any external interference, make all appointments including that of the head of institution, and take all decisions regarding governance. There shall be overarching legislation that will supersede any contravening provisions of other earlier legislation and would provide for constitution, appointment, modalities of functioning, rules and regulations, and roles and responsibilities of the Board of Governors. New members of the board shall be identified by an expert committee appointed by the board, and the selection of new members shall be carried out by the Board of Governors itself. It is envisaged that all HEIs will be incentivized, supported, and mentored during this process and shall become autonomous and have an empowered Board of Governors by 2035. Next, please. If one side of the coin is autonomy and empowerment, there is the other side of the coin, the accent on responsibility and accountability. Thus, the Board of Governors shall be responsible and accountable to the stakeholders through transparent self-disclosure of all relevant records. It will be responsible for meeting all regulatory guidelines mandated by HECI through the National Higher Education Regulatory Council. While being provided with adequate funding, legislative enablement, and autonomy in a phased manner, all HEIs in turn will display commitment to institutional excellence, engagement with their local communities, and the highest standards of financial probity and accountability. Next, another implication of a single regulator is uniformity of regulation, thus creating a level playing field. Public and private higher education institutions will be governed by the same set of norms for regulation, accreditation, and academic standards. This will also ensure that the state-backed university system will compete on equal terms with private and foreign universities. Next. This brings me to the emphasis on NEP's stress on quality. The document repeatedly speaks of the quality imperative, reiterating the objectives of excellence, innovation, and merit. It observes that effective governance and leadership enables the creation of a culture of excellence and innovation in higher education institutions. It also states that the common feature of all world-class institutions globally, including India, is strong self-governance and outstanding merit-based appointments of institutional leaders. The primary instrument to attain these goals is institutional leadership. Structurally, there are several provisions which enable this focus on excellence and merit. As we saw, acquiring the appropriate graded accreditations is a precondition for the creation of the Board of Governors of a HEI. It is only upon receiving the appropriate graded accreditations that deem the institution ready for such a move that the Board of Governors can be established. It will consist of highly qualified, competent and dedicated individuals having proven capabilities and a strong sense of commitment to the institution. Measures will be taken at all HEIs to ensure leadership of the highest quality and promote an institutional culture of excellence. Equity considerations will also be taken care of while selecting the members. All leadership positions and heads of institutions will be offered to persons with high academic qualifications and demonstrated administrative and leadership capabilities, along with the ability to manage complex situations. Leaders of a higher education institution will demonstrate strong alignment to constitutional values and the overall vision of the institution, along with attributes such as a strong social commitment, belief in teamwork, pluralism, ability to work with diverse people, and a positive outlook. The selection shall be carried out through a rigorous, impartial, merit-based and competency-based process led by an eminent expert committee constituted by the Board of Governors. While stability of tenure is important to ensure the development of a suitable culture, at the same time, leadership succession will be planned with care to ensure that good practices that define an institution's processes do not end due to a change in leadership. Leadership changes will come with sufficient overlaps and not remain vacant in order to ensure smooth transitions. Outstanding leaders will be identified and developed early, working their way through a ladder of leadership positions. Next, please. To ensure quality as well as an effective accountability mechanism, the policy appears to rely on the tool of the IDP. Each institution will make a strategic institutional development plan on the basis of which institutions will develop initiatives, assess their own progress, and reach the goals set therein, which could then become the basis for further public funding. The IDP shall be prepared with the joint participation of board members, institutional leaders, faculty, students, and staff. Another tool proposed for effective governance is transparency and disclosure. According to the NEP, financial probity, good governance, and the full online and offline public self-disclosure of all finances, audits, procedures, infrastructure, faculty, staff, courses, and educational outcomes will be effectively regulated. This information will have to be made available and kept updated and accurate by all higher education institutions on a public website maintained by the NHERC and on the institution's own websites. Any complaints or grievances from stakeholders and others arising out of the information placed in public domain shall be adjudicated by the NHERC. Feedback from randomly selected students, including differently abled students at each higher education institutions, will be solicited online to ensure valuable inputs at regular intervals. Next, please. Let us now look at how the NEP addresses aspects of innovation and entrepreneurship. In my interaction with students globally, I find that the practical application of studies is well built in their system. In India also, we have a number of examples where an indigenous technology was developed by youth even who were outside the formal schooling network. However, not so long ago, parents in our country could see only two professions, a doctor or an engineer. All of us are aware that result announcements, especially of 10th and 12th grade, were and are still being looked at as a very big event in life. The effort that one has taken often gets unnoticed in the black and white colors of success and failure. If you get into engineering and medicine, it is success. If not, it is failure. With time, a whole new arena of opportunities have opened up, and this is gradually being appreciated and encouraged by parents. This has led to diversified training and employment opportunities across sectors in different trades. Credit goes to the progress in communication technology that has familiarized people with the change markers or early torch bearers in the offbeat fields. This implies that innovativeness and creativity cannot be just stimulated by an institution alone, but demands interest, curiosity, and practice. The most important role in this case is that of parents, who need to go beyond the lines of log kya kahenge, janru en heltare, berevaru en heltare, and let their kids explore and experiment in life to realize their full potential. Would this mindset change by the promises made by the NEP? The implementation of the NEP gives huge scope for this experimentation. School education will have exploration, discussion, discovery, and analysis as modes of imparting education. With 10 bagless days, vocational education will start from class 6. With internships, it would be more experiential. This will open up fresh perspectives of the world surrounding youth to engage them in tasks that will groom their mind holistically, to be able to find breakthrough solutions to new age problems which rigid adult minds might not even imagine. Coding will also be initiated from the same class, which is virtually the fourth language for India, which is becoming the IT and software hub of the world. Coding will encourage kids to think critically by learning to dissect steps in problem solving. Not only that, it helps children with instant gratification of being a creator. Who knows, it may germinate early age entrepreneurs. University education flexibility with multiple entry and exit options will foster exploration and risk taking. It will free students from rigid academic silos, while multidisciplinary courses would open new horizons for innovation. Think of your own graduation, physics and music, a degree which is joint degree in science and arts, mathematics and astrology, ancient Indian culture and modern science, and so on. The focus on equality and social awareness will discourage the rat race towards conventional streams of engineering and medicine. This will pave the way for new age entrepreneurship in India, which would look beyond to solve unique Indian problems. The Skill Up India program arose because of the enormous gap of the applied skill needed for students to be industry ready. Students are loaded with theoretical knowledge of stereotypical subjects which are not productive from day one of the job. The NEP transformation will change the persona of generations to come, who will be armed with relevant skills. It will encourage students to become passionate self-learners due to the flexibility of choice that they will have. They would no more be mile wide and inch deep, but rather their own passion will build the depth to drive innovation. It will prepare them for a newer, self-reliant tomorrow. This is set to make the foundation for the next century, an era where the individual need not be stuck to a single profession, but can seamlessly transition across professions, which will be enabled by the education system through reskill and upskill. What better impetus can be there for innovation and entrepreneurship? The biggest accelerator would be reducing the gap between research and education. the National Research Foundation brings a ray of hope. It hopefully will catapult research grants from government as well as directly from industry by establishing a strong academia-industry relationship. However, the research ecosystem in India must go hand in hand with entrepreneurship to be sustainable, since India cannot afford to inject millions of rupees in research without early returns. NEP 2020 can help us restructure the current education system. At the institutional and structural level, changes need to be encouraged in the infrastructure, which allows interaction, group learning, and less of competition. Pedagogy needs to be more customized that ensures participative learning in the class. The training methodology should help in engaging students innovatively in a manner that is not defined by the performance of students alone, but by their active participation and initiative. Building on foundational skills and emphasizing the use of mother tongue is also an important element that needs to be part of the curriculum. COVID-19 has taught us that technology, if put to the right use without intimidating the learners, can accelerate the learning and development processes. NEP's emphasis on digital media is an important step in this direction. Finally, mindset reforms. Students need to look beyond their notebooks and observe and develop perspectives on the world around them. Different sorts of exercises can be developed to help students to learn from the communities around them and develop personal and collective social responsibility. To ensure that this happens, mindset reform is needed at three levels: parents, teachers, and the community. All three players must get rid of those processes that inhibits the overall growth of the child. It also calls for a radical change in the approach where the outcomes of education are valued and not merely the process. A learner-centric process needs to be the foundation in all these reforms. The NEP definitely gives a huge scope and window of opportunity to all of us to move beyond mark sheets and work towards the holistic development of the child. Reforms, if packaged and developed in a participatory manner, do create a positive impact. The moment a reform or change is presented as a comfort value rather than an intrusion, its acceptability among various stakeholders is bound to increase, leading to positive outcomes. Finally, I want you to see the NEP against the backdrop of the macro educational context. What are the challenges and consequences of future learning, and how do we meet them? Imagine a far-flung village in India or sub-Saharan Africa without electricity or infrastructure or a government school, at home to children studying on a smartphone provided by the government or an NGO under the guidance of astute mentors. This is the true power and potential of online learning platforms, transmitting knowledge to the farthest and marginalized corners of our society. The most profound impact of technology is to democratize learning. Technology has expanded access to education. Rather than travel to centers of learning, information is available at one's fingertips through the internet, and opportunities for formal learning are available online worldwide through the Khan Academy, MOOCs, podcasts, and so on. Opportunities for communication and collaboration have been expanded by technology. Traditionally, classrooms have been relatively isolated and collaboration has been limited to other students in the same classroom or building. Today, technology enables forms of communication and collaboration undreamt of in the past. The walls of the classroom are no longer a barrier, as technology enables new ways of learning, communication, and working collaboratively. New technologies are thus powerful tools to help schools meet the needs of ever more diverse student populations. The democratization of education raises important issues of equity. Are schools providing students with equal access to technology? There is a digital divide that exists between the information rich and the information poor. Gender equity issues arise when girls are treated differently than boys in the use and encouragement to use technology. A student in a rural school that lacks fast internet connectivity does not have the same access to information as a student in a major city. The digital divide also extends beyond the school. More economically advantaged children usually information sources through private providers or home computers. Democratization of technology is therefore an important issue now, comprising internet connectivity, telecom infrastructure, affordability of online systems, and availability of electronic infrastructure. For Indians like us and India watchers, keep in mind that the NEP is taking place alongside this major shake-up in education. So, there is the possibility that policy and practice can adapt to or facilitate the organic changes taking place in the education arena. Closing the gap between technology potential and its realization is largely a function of policy leadership, private initiative, and public acceptance. This is where the new education policy can play a role. In conclusion, we may say, next please, we may say that the NEP is ambitious in its transformative ideals and its prioritization of excellence and merit. With legislative and financial backing, the NEP augurs well for a new, vibrant India poised to take its rightful place in the world stage. For sure, NEP puts us abreast with model education systems of the world. However, the tire is yet to hit the road, and success lies in rightful implementation. If done well, future moves like social security can further bolster risk-taking ability to foster entrepreneurial grit. Time will show us where we land. Thank you all. Good luck. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was indeed a very beautiful and a very depth presentation we had. Thank you so much for your time and the words you spoke on, the knowledgeful words. Thank you so much. Now I request Swarnakiran, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, to render vote of thanks.
Thank you, madam. I would like to take this opportunity to render vote of thanks on behalf of Institute Innovation Council, ATME College of Engineering. First, I would like to express gratitude to our Honorable Chairman in his absence and management for providing an opportunity for organizing this event. I extend my sincere thanks to our beloved Principal, Dr. L. Basavaraj, for his continuous support for conduction of the event. Thank you, sir. I would like to express sincere gratitude to today's key speaker, Dr. Kalpana Gopalan, IAS, Additional Chief Secretary, Department of Youth Empowerment and Sports, Government of Karnataka, for highlighting information on national education policy, focus on governance, leadership, innovation, and entrepreneurship in higher education. Thank you, madam.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
I would like to extend a heartfelt thanks to Dr. Ratnakar Ji, Student Affairs and President, Institute Innovation Council, for continuous support in organizing this event. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Swarnakiran.
I extend my sincere gratitude to Dr. M.S. Govindegowda, Dean Academics, and Dr. Bhagyashree S.R., Dean Research and Development, and to all HODs of ATME College of Engineering for being the part of event. Thank you all. I extend a wholehearted thanks to all faculties and students who supported by joining the event and making event a grand success. Thank you one and all.
Madam, thank you very much for joining us and educating us. It was really inspiring. Probably your guidelines will help us for taking the governance forward. It was really inspiring, madam. We look forward to hear from you on many more occasions like this. Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you so much. I look forward to visiting your college and
Please,
my
madam,
favorite city.
please, madam, please do calm down. You are most welcome. We would like to have you on some occasions here where you can address our students, motivate them. We want all our students to become a great personality like you. You are
Thank
an
you.
inspiration. Your biodata itself inspires us like anything. Thank you very much, madam. It's indeed a
Thank you so
great
much.
pleasure for us. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you all for your time. Dear students, we are winding up the session for the day. Uh, as usual, we are going to take up the afternoon session at 1:45. The department introduction by the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. Dr. Putegoda will be giving the introduction about the department in the afternoon at 1:45, followed by um, the creative arts session, whatever it was given in the timetable. Ramchandra sir will take over it and he will be given the brief about it. Okay, we are winding up now and we shall meet again at 1:45. Please log in before in hand. Thank you everyone.